Hello and welcome to the Pop Off PC Mag's video game show. Where we talk about games, game news, trends, opinions, all sorts of things that have to do with this wonderful medium that we're all cursed to be fans of. I'm Jordan Miner. I'm joined with my colleagues Matt Buzzy.
Hello.
And Mike Williams.
Hello, folks.
And once again, we're going to be doing this thing where we try to talk out a genre and just argue and have takes about what we think the best games in that genre are. And today we're talking about battle royales. We're all going to fly onto an island and hide and do nothing for 40 minutes in this boring sludge until one person is left standing.
Oh, Jordan's a big fan.
Wow. Why are you coming from my play style like that? That's how I used to play PUBG. I'd just be like in a corner, just being like, no one sees me. I'm good. I'm not going to do anything.
PUBG promotes that because everything's terrifying.
Yes.
Right. So battle royales, I would say, inarguably the biggest genre of the past 5 years. Just has taken the world by storm in all sorts of ways, and has spawned lots of people trying to come for that crown. And we're going to talk about what we think the best ones are. We mentioned it already, but I think a good place as any to start off would be PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, very accessible name. PUBG, which is kind of the beginning of this whole trend. Someone who likes these games, please take it from there.
Please don't make you talk about them anymore. Yeah.
I'll let Matt go.
But certainly the one that started the phenomenon, I think, sort of made Battle Royale the cool genre after MOBAs were the cool genre that everyone was trying to make one of for years. It PUBG kind of made everyone want to make a Battle Royale.
Yeah, because that was the first starting from. So the original was a mod for Arma 3, and then the creator of that mod was approached by a studio and was allowed to build that out into PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, or PUBG as everyone knows it. Mm-hmm. And it's still, PUBG is an interesting one because it's one that people don't talk about as much, but it's not because it's not still popular and not still making a ton of money. It is, and a lot of people play it. I think a lot of people play it on mobile now, especially over in Asia. They play a lot of PUBG on mobile. It's also probably one of the more methodical. Most of the current Battle Royale games are a little bit more action-based.
I mean, it has ballistics physics, right? In ways that the other ones aren't doing.
Oh, the most simulation, except for Tarkov, the most simulation-like of the big battle royales.
Right. And I mean, there are people who can play shock and awe loud and out there, but it does, for the average player, sort of prize more finding a spot, hiding there until you find out when the next circle is, and then trying to get to the next circle as sneakily as possible. So it's a little bit quieter than some of the other games that we'll probably talk about. I mean, I enjoy it for that it is a little bit more methodical than some of the other titles.
And you gotta respect it for just so many things that these other games still rip off completely. Just the idea of the circle and just everyone falling onto this island and just very specific ways with how a match progresses, are just straight out of PUBG, barely disguised in some of these other cases.
Yeah, I think going back to it, as Mike said, it's still popular. It's always up there in the Steam concurrence.
Yep.
No matter what, and I think a lot of that is in other regions. It is still more popular than it might be in the US. But people play that game still. It is a little hard to go back to. It always was and remains a bit janky. The engine is old. It was probably, they didn't expect it to get that big. And if they could update it with a new engine, I'm sure they'd love to at the snap of a finger. But
it's a lot of work to put on one guy, PlayerUnknown.
PlayerUnknown, Brandon Greening doing it all.
This game by hand.
Garage.
And it probably, I'd say, I mean, it's one of those games that'll probably continue on just fine. But if we were back in the day, I'd say in another year, you'd release a PUBG 2 and update that engine and do it again. You guys have the money to do that. I don't think they will, because there's always that fear when you have that long-running popular service that if you do a 2, they're not going to jump.
People don't make the jump unless you shut off the first one.
Right.
Yeah, I played a ton of PUBG when it came out because there weren't as many options as we were saying. It was really the first one that blew up. I played over 300 hours of PUBG, I want to say. I like the tenseness. I like the sort of being really careful and methodical and sort of cowering in fear as you move from building to building. You can die really quick. Sometimes it feels, I know this is why Jordan doesn't really enjoy the genre, because you loot up, you spend 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden you get sniped from a guy on a hill who doesn't miss, and that's your whole game. Especially with some of the jank involved, you might not feel like it went your way, and then the fairest way, or up close automatic weapon sprays are a little hit and miss. So I get not liking that one of all of them.
Yeah, and that is true. But I mean, the last pop off we were talking about fighting games. You still sort of run into that on fighting games, where like if you go online with any fighting game over like 6 months, you are going to get matched with the best of the best, and they are going to utterly stomp you. It's just the flavor of that.
They will stomp you though in like 3 90-second rounds as opposed to like 45 minutes.
That's true. That's true. There's less overall, but PUBG is more like you will be running, and then all of a sudden you'll hear like maybe you have a helmet on, like level 3, ping, and then you'll hear a second ping, and that's it. Like you're done. Like
that was very good. That was very well synced. These games is kind of like pseudo horror games. I've always found like interesting, in a kind of academic sense. Even though they could almost lean into it more, honestly. But yeah, I get the appeal. I mean, again, like when something is this popular, there's clearly something there. Like not that many people can just be wrong and dumb as much as sometimes it feels that way. But all right, yeah. So then we've kind of acknowledged PUBG as sort of this beginning of the genre here, but from there, all these imitators of rivals have popped up. So let's just kind of do the go around format again. Just be able to say another one of your favorites of the genre.
I'll jump in with the one everybody knows because I actually play it, Fortnite.
There you go.
I actually remember playing Fortnite when it was just the Save the World mod, because I played it in like its early access, and then it was failing, and then they were like, well, we're gonna add a new mode to it, and it was Battle Royale, and it was utterly cribbed from PUBG, which was the hottest of the hot thing right now.
Yeah, like weeks, months right after, right?
Yeah,
that turnaround was crazy.
Yeah, I think they did an interview and they said it took them like 3 weeks, like 3 or 4 weeks to like fully like from we're going to do this because PUBG is popular to they had it up and running was like 4 weeks, which is absurd. But then they added it, and all of a sudden, it's taking off because Battle Royale was free to play. So, and that's really the thing that it had at the time, because it was PUBG and it was Fortnite, and Fortnite was free.
When did it get on mobile? That was pretty soon afterwards.
I want to say that was like a year or two later.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
that's another big thing kind of. Yeah. I feel like it was 2018 really became like the year of Fortnite. You couldn't go anywhere without seeing that shit.
Well, Fortnite also had the advantage of, I mean, PUBG's on mobile, but it's pared down and it doesn't look as good. But Fortnite's easier to run on low end stuff. It had the advantage of being able to play on really any PC, really any console. Whereas PUBG, even on a good PC, was janky. And again, being free was a major plus for it. Anyone could get it. Anyone could play it. Everyone did. And also these two things could have been more polar opposite in style and visuals.
It was very cartoony, and it's very weird because like the shooting in Fortnite is not great. I will say just openly, like I play it, but it's not great.
Yeah.
It's fine. But the strength of that is they keep adding new stuff to it, like they've added vehicles, they changed the map. Their their season change events are probably some of the best live service like events, period.
I think the seasonal updates and additions and changes to the map has now influenced every other game forever.
And now that they are popular enough, they're also, I'm going to admit, I guess the soft metaverse idea is that they're so popular that every major license, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, Aliens, Predator, whatever.
Ryu, Kratos, Master Chief.
Kratos, Master Chief.
Real life streamers, Ninja, and all those people like that.
Neymar recently.
Yeah.
They added a Neymar skin. So all of those come over as skins to Fortnite. One, as part of that design, is very easy to make, like oddly iconic, like clean skins for all those characters. Like all the Marvel characters look much better in Fortnite for me than they did in the Marvel Avengers game. Which
I bought that Black Manta skin. I think it looks sick.
Right. So I have spent an utter nonsense amount of money on Fortnite.
Okay, so here's where we get into the hot take portion. Is
Please.
I have played. We've been very descriptive and complimentary. I don't like Fortnite very much. I do play it. I respect what it does. I think the building is really cool and it's very different from anything in other battle royale games. As Mike said, I don't like the shooting. I greatly prefer first person to third person, which is a big factor. It doesn't feel that great. It's a little airy. The RNG can get you because it's just like, oh, I found a better version of the gun you found, and like that stuff is sort of annoying to me. And you do have to put in a ton of time to master the building in fights, and that's cool that it has a good ceiling. But it's pretty frustrating when you get similar to the PUBG getting sniped by some god.
Because
getting outbuilt is like so.
Yeah, the high level of Fortnite is not only can they do the sniping, like they can snipe from very far away, but also they can build like an entire tower in seconds.
Yeah.
Fuzzy, I don't know if you'll remember when we had that gamer sensei come into the office to teach us how to be good at Fortnite. And I asked him, can you be good at this game while just ignoring all the building whatsoever? And he was like, no.
Not at all.
Well, I guess I'm not getting good at this game because I think the building is like garbage and like clearly built for not this kind of, like going back to what this game originally was, it was going to be this like kind of like wave-based tower defense thing, and you see how those mechanics make sense for that game, but it feels so awkwardly bolted onto this battle royale.
It's like it both works better than it should, but also clearly is not what it's for. Like they made it work, and people who are good at it are good at it, but that's not. I don't think from the ground up that's how
it's very inelegant. I don't mind the shooting. I kind of don't think that being good at shooting is a very interesting mechanic personally. And I think I like that fights feel like they last a little bit longer in Fortnite than like PUBG. But yeah, I can't stand the building and just don't do it.
like I do it in a limited basis. Like the idea that you can build your own cover is a good one that most other battle royales don't deal with. It's just playing any sort of game long term is like learning a language. Like you have to have the mental understanding of how those. And I've watched people who are very good at Fortnite, like how they move across the keys and stuff. And my mind just like I can do combos in fighting games because I've been there, but I can't get my mind around, switch to the thing, start building side, switch to the floor bit or the ramp bit, drop it. It's
impressive. I do respect it, but it's something like you have to spend a lot of time learning how to do it and being willing to like not be very good at it for a while as you try to win fights.
Which is wild because this is the one that all the kids play.
I know, and I guess they have endless time
because they learn the language like that. They're starting with that language. So like for them, it's like, oh, I'm like this is just how it's played.
I'll watch a YouTube build video, like tips video, and then I'll go play for hours after school and learn how to do it. And that's just like it makes. Maybe we're just old, you know.
Or maybe
but
maybe the children are just wrong.
Maybe it's not me; it's the children who are wrong.
Yeah, and also, but also we talk a lot about the battle royale, but like as Fortnite just becomes so huge, it's become like this like again, like you said, like a soft metaverse of like the creative mode, or like where you could watch Inception inside of Fortnite for a hot minute.
Travis Scott concerts.
Yeah.
Which again, like I play Fortnite enough that I've like at least jumped in to see some of these, like the Inception. Not the Inception. It was the Tenet trailer. Yeah. So you could watch Inception, but after that was the Tenet trailer, and I did, and it was very weird in that metaversey way to be. I think I was using a Deadpool skin at the time.
I was watching a Tenet trailer.
No, I'm like watching the Tenet trailer as Deadpool with like a Batman axe, and then like like Daredevil or whoever comes over and starts dancing next to me while we're watching a Tenet trailer,
or
and Christopher Nolan is there like talking.
It's bizarre. It's a toy box. It's its own content platform.
I was gonna say, or someone wearing like an Apple skin as part of their like larger legal campaign that they're trying to like mobilize their child army for to this game having its own like purchase systems.
It's wild, but Fortnite. I still like it, and I still spend money on it, and the skins are very expensive, and I regret it every time. Like I just look, I was like I'm not that good at the game to play it a ton to use every skin, so I'm just sort of buying them because there's always that little bit of FOMO. And I have that FOMO because sometimes you never know if a skin is going to come back. So like when Rise of Skywalker was out, they released skins for the cast. And I was like, maybe I should buy the Finn skin. And I never did. But now it's gone. And I have no clue.
You should have.
Right. I have no clue if that will ever, ever, ever come back. So now I'm like, if I like a skin, I'm just going to buy it.
And they got you. That's how they get you.
And that's how they get you.
That's
But yeah, Fortnite. You can't. It is what it is. Buzzy, next one. What do you got?
My favorite, the one I've easily put the most hours into, and would definitely go to bat for if this comes down to a take fest, is Apex Legends. Easily my favorite. We'll talk about Warzone as well. Obviously, another elephant in the room, Call of Duty, is massive as well. Apex is by far my favorite mix of frenetic, fun, tight feeling shooting, character abilities that make it interesting. Really good. They get things wrong sometimes, but really good efforts to balance everything. Seasonal updates, free stuff, paid stuff if you want it, but everything's only cosmetic. I think it's the best to play and one of the best supported games, battle royales.
Maybe just a little bit more context of what Apex Legends is, considering that no one played Titanfall 1 or 2.
So Apex Legends, Titanfall 2 is a great game that didn't get its deserved time in the sun. They launched it at a bad time, and it didn't really get the attention. An amazing campaign, really fun multiplayer, but it didn't sell very well. And so they went back to the drawing board, and they were kind of quietly working on Apex, unbeknownst to anybody. And they announced it and launched it in the same day. It's free to play. And I've been playing since then. I've been playing for years. I have like 900 hours in Apex. I love Apex. It has only become more popular. It really spiked in popularity when they released it. And then it had a few, not down years, but it was kind of level. And then the last year or so, especially in the last like 3 or 4 months, it's really blown up again. It's one of the most popular games on Twitch. Everyone's playing it.
It is definitely the most popular battle royale on Steam Play. Like it's above PUBG, it's above any of those other games. I think last I saw it was like 300,000 concurrent players or something like that. So like absurd numbers. For
sure. Now they're tying some Titanfall lore. They've always had some in there. It shares the weapons with Titanfall, a couple other things like that. And now they're tying the lore into the characters, which it's a battle royale. Doesn't all matter all that much, but it's kind of a cool thing for those fans who might not get Titanfall 3 ever. They might because Apex is successful.
I think
Apex was subsidized Titanfall 3.
Right. Which is funny because a lot of people blamed it for like killing Titanfall, but I think the only chance for Titanfall 3, because 2 didn't sell well, is the success of Apex and that the studio shows that it knows what it's doing.
Yeah, because they definitely they essentially added a new character that is more closely tied to Titanfall 2. And then that weekend they also made Titanfall 2 free to play on a number of platforms, so you could play it and get into that campaign. So I think probably that was the as you were saying, like the pitch deck to EA. Like, look, we have Apex. We're going to keep doing Apex. But we also really delivered with Jedi Fallen Order. And we also want to do Titanfall 3.
Yeah, this Titanfall franchise is pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, why not?
We just won an Oscar for this Medal of Honor VR thing.
Yeah.
They're like, we're hitting on all cylinders, and our former boss guy is now the EA Games guru guy.
Mm-hmm.
Not Jason West, Vince Zampella. Got promoted within EA, so he has more control over the studio. So I think we'll get Titanfall 3.
Yeah.
I would agree that I think out of all like the traditional battle royales, I think Apex is probably the one that I tolerate the most. In that I think it does introduce like pretty like substantial new ideas to this format that other ones don't. Like in terms of its like communication features where you can like just ping items because it really emphasizes the 3-man teams.
Mm-hmm.
The ping was definitely the big like, oh, this is great.
It works. It's easy to understand. It always does what it's supposed to do. The Call of Duty one, the Warzone one's very finicky. I find the pings not nearly as seamless as Apex's are.
I don't want to talk to anyone while playing an online multiplayer game, and anything that makes that more plausible, I will appreciate. And we were talking about lore, but like the game's characters are not just, they also have like unique abilities that are, you know, kind of from like a little Overwatchy. But like that choice.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like just having that to consider as far as your strategy goes, I think is really cool, and another thing that again the other battle royales don't necessarily do.
I was gonna say, yeah, that the character abilities is not an original idea. I won't credit it with that, but putting it in a battle royale and doing it well was
that's an achievement for sure.
Really smart move, yeah. And being able to bring your teammates back into the game, they were the first ones who did that as well, and other games have taken that idea, including Fortnite, I believe. So yeah, I mean, all those innovations plus Titanfall felt amazing to play. They're just really good at making game feel, and there's no Titans and there's not actual wall running, but the feel of the weapons and the sliding and the sprinting mechanics and little tech like wall jumps if you know what you're doing. All that stuff is in the game, and it feels really, really tight and satisfying. So
yeah,
they should put Titans in the game somehow. I mean, if it's like because they're doing like other types of modes now. They have that arenas mode thing.
Mm-hmm.
They should put some of that stuff in this game somehow, I think.
But I actually enjoy playing Titanfall 2 multiplayer.
It's great.
Like, I'm not a huge multiplayer guy, but that was one of the, like, just being able to like jump on a Titan and take it down as a human. Cool.
Right.
Yeah, it's amazing that they balanced that with Titans. That they achieved that.
All right, so I said, you know, I just said there that I think Apex is my favorite of the traditional battle royales, but my favorite battle royale that is very much non-traditional.
Oh, I know what this is.
Is Tetris 99. Tetris 99, a battle royale game from Tetris. You are just playing Tetris alongside.
It's just Tetris.
It's just Tetris.
It's not just Tetris. You're playing Tetris alongside 90 other people, and as you are playing, you know, it's a traditional Tetris multiplayer concept that as you clear blocks, you are sending junk blocks to other players. And in this case, you are doing that to other players until only one person is left standing, like in any other battle royale game. I think it's fantastic. Tetris is an objectively perfect video game. And my big issue with battle royales, we've kind of alluded to, is that I just feel like so much of it, when I play them so often, I feel like I'm just like, am I going to do something this time? Is something going to happen this round? I just feel like it's just so often I have experiences where I'm just not doing anything, and I find it very boring. And I feel like, and then I just die in like 3 seconds. And I feel like, I legit feel like my time is wasted. Whereas in Tetris 99, you are constantly playing Tetris, a fantastic video game, so that even when I die, I'm like, well, at least I got to play some Tetris. Something that I really like doing.
Right, and that the Tetris 99 has been its own like progenitor because we've had since then Mario 99 and
Pac-Man 99. Yes.
And the magic of all of these games is, like you said, essentially, yes, you are against 99 other players or 90
and there is strategy
players.
With like who you want to target, when,
who you want to send
matches. Yeah.
But for the most part, you're just playing a very good game, classic game by yourself.
Yes.
So that's why it's been like Mario 99, which was just Super Mario Brothers. Like, hey, just make sure you can, you know, get across the platforms and whatnot. You know Mario.
Yeah, you know Pac-Man. Eat those ghosts.
I will say the Pac-Man looks, of the three, the most like incomprehensible when you glance at it. You like the previews of other people's screens. I feel like I cannot from what I've seen, like tell what's going on at all.
For what it's worth, I think Tetris 99 is the best out of all these that kind of run on that same engine. I think pretty clearly are on the same technology. Because I played the other two and I don't think they're as good.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say and that I think Tetris is just like infinitely playable in a way that like Pac-Man isn't necessarily.
They've had these like local multiplayer or online multiplayer like 1v1 Tetris things in various editions of Tetris over the years. Yeah,
Tetris multiplayer has already existed. Yeah, there's just a very logical extension of those ideas. Tetris Effect, same type deal.
Right. I'm thinking, and with the simplicity, what I'm ready for is the like Darius 99 R-Type, the shoot 'em up 99. There needs to be a bullet hell shoot 'em up 99.
Yeah. Because Space Invaders 99, something like that.
Or so like something that requires you, because they're like the shoot 'em up community is very like niche, but they have games that they really love, and they do, and sometimes that gets out, like Returnal, the recent PS5 game, is essentially just like a bullet hell roguelike game. Like it has bullet hell.
I was about to say, maybe Housemarque will do that next.
Right. So a game like that, like Bud 99, I think is the next step. But I like the idea of all of these. But yeah, Tetris is probably the best of them.
And like people, and I respect too in Battle Royales, because I've gotten to like top 5, top 3 in like Fortnite or whatever, and like that's like a legit like thrilling, tense, like oh man, what's gonna happen? Like that's an entertaining feeling, and you absolutely get that same feeling when you're in the top like 5 of Tetris 99. Like it feels like the
Tetris,
end of
and you get to play Tetris.
But also like I need to just like hold out for just, it's not like I need to just hold out until the other people die, which could happen at any second. This is probably also another good place to bring up Fall Guys if we're talking about non-traditional battle royales. I've not played any Fall Guys. But
a little Fall Guys. I think it's how good it actually was a little overblown. I think it was a cool thing that existed for people who don't want to play shooters or like a fast-paced Tetris, and it's like a fun party game. It wasn't that fun to play for long, is what I would say. I'd be like, okay, it's the same couple platforming levels, and it's a little frustrating because people kind of just roll into each other in physics. It's supposed to be fun, but if you have any interest in, like competing, it's not meant to be taken that seriously, and it's fun, but it's it was all right.
When it came out, my thought generally was, and I was like, I kind of like this, but I wish the platforming was tighter and there was more to. Like, I want essentially the movement system of Super Mario Odyssey, which has a very like it's very tight, precise controls. And there's actually like a hidden, very high skill ceiling of people being able to like tech jump their way using the skills up past certain obstacles and stuff. And I wish Fall Guys had some of that.
It's very airy. I almost felt like there was almost a delay on my jumps sometimes when in a game that requires you to time your jumps pretty spot on. I wasn't quite getting the feedback that I needed, I felt.
Yeah. So Fall Guys is like the Fortnite of like, if there were other ones, it would be like the Fortnite of platforming.
So we need like the PUBG of Fall Guys.
Right.
Really like simulation heavy.
Like tight. So yeah, I played it for a while, but then I sort of fell off pretty quickly.
And I feel like it's out of the zeitgeist as much pretty quickly.
It's actually still I have the Steam top sellers and Battle Royale open. It is still number 3. It's Apex Battlegrounds.
People might not be talking about it, but
they'll probably pop off again once it comes on Switch this summer.
Yeah, it's like PUBG, in that people don't talk about it, but there's a very strong community that is playing it. They just never go outside of they never pop their head outside of the bubble and say, "Hey, the new season of PUBG is." They're just like, "We're here."
Yeah,
and I think Fall Guys is like that now.
Cool. So from a colorful little squishy game show to war crimes, let's talk about Call of Duty Warzone, another game I've not played, but
Warzone is
that was like
the way Warzone works is that Call of Duty's shooting mechanics are already very good.
A Call of Duty Battle Royale seemed inevitable once PUBG and Fortnite blew up.
And the other bit of it that was very smart, I think, is there's sort of a cultural carry of certain levels in Call of Duty, like certain levels that like Nuketown,
right,
that people actually know. And what they did when they built their map, the original map at least, it's changed a couple of times since then, is they put bits of those popular levels within the Warzone map, which was very smart because these are well-designed levels. So what you would have is this pretty wide open map with dotted points of very good multiplayer level design, which would lead to interesting encounters. Whereas like Fortnite has gotten better, PUBG has gotten better, but like the first PUBG map, some of the areas were just not particularly well designed for encounters. They were just like placed there, like here's a town, whatever.
The original Apex map is also not. They learned a lot in making the new ones. The flow is much better.
Right. And that was the strength of Warzone. Like they had a history of Call of Duty to call upon, and then put those good bits within the map itself, and they've sort of moved that together. The reason I actually uninstalled Warzone is it was just too big. Like Call of Duty,
it takes up a whole drive.
Yeah.
It's like all of my game drives are SSDs on my PC now, and Call of Duty, I think they've changed it so that you can just install like Warzone or just install the campaign. But when it first came out, I think it was everything had to be there, and it was easily like 200 gigs or something absurd like that.
It was insane. Like, do I want half of this 500 gig SSD to be Call of Duty? I guess so.
A lot of people, sure, probably, yeah.
Probably for many, yeah. But on console, like the downloads are slow, and your drive is not. You can't really add more drives that easily, so it's a big ask to take up that much space. Like I've seen a lot of people be like, "Oh, I don't have space for so and so game." Too bad.
Yeah. Like I have a friend that's all she plays. Like Call of Duty Warzone is her game. She doesn't need the space for anything else because Warzone is the game that she like plays on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So,
she also mentioned the first Call of Duty Battle Royale, I think was called Blackout.
Right. Yeah.
That was before Warzone. It was in the, I think it was in a Black Ops.
Yeah. Was that Black Ops 4?
Yeah.
Wow.
That one didn't hit the same way.
Was that the last game we streamed in the office?
It might have been.
I think it might have been.
That one was a bit off. It was definitely Call of Duty, but maybe it's because it was Black Ops. It just felt a bit not quite there, and Warzone blew up in the way that you probably expected that one to blow up.
And they like support Warzone, across years. Whereas,
I think that's the Warzone being, once they split things out, Warzone became free to play, and Warzone lives across games. And I think I forget if they've said, but they're like when the new COD comes out, we will still have Warzone.
Yeah. Remaking a new one again would be kind of crazy that they've put all this support into it. So it makes sense. How do you feel about it to play it? Because I'm hit and miss on it.
I think Call of Duty's gunplay has always been very good. It's okay. It could be. I think probably after playing Fortnite and Apex, I just want a little bit more pizzazz and magic to it, like more abilities, more stuff.
It has some of the PUBG appeal, but also some of the PUBG problems. Like it's a little more tense than Apex. Camping in Apex isn't that great of a move, and in COD it'll get you pretty far if you can get in the zone and stay there.
Yeah.
It's a little tense like PUBG, but you die pretty quick. But teams can come back in, and there's more teams than in other battle royales. And you can call teammates back in, and you have the second chance in the gulag. So games go on a really long time, and you'll like kill a couple teams and play for a while and feel like you've made progress. And you look up in the corner and you'll see there's still like 50 or 60 players left, and it's like, okay, I'll keep running. Okay, I'll go towards the circle again. But it definitely lasts a while. And there's all sort of gun meta problems. I always feel like something's like way too strong constantly, or you get sniped from a million miles away. So I enjoy it, and I think it has some cool features like the drops and the custom loadouts. But again, that's just a way to get like really super powered weapons into the match, and then people are running like these crazy kits you don't know about, and it's.
Do you think
fun,
that like?
It's
do you think that's skills and just concepts from traditional Call of Duty multiplayer that people have been playing for like a decade now? Do you think any of that carries over to this in like a significant way?
I think so.
Yes.
People know the weapons and stuff really well.
Yeah, because that's what he was talking about with the gun meta. Part of that is bringing weapons from older Call of Duties that feel like they were in older Call of Duties. And so what ends up happening is sometimes a new weapon will come in and it'll be like significantly more powerful and more useful than one of the older weapons or something. And COD has to do that like game by game, like what the meta tends to stay. Like these are the weapons that come with Black Ops 4 or Infinite Warfare or whatever. Whereas Warzone, they keep bringing in other weapons, and it gets fuzzy.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I think we've hit a lot of the major ones there. Are there any kind of like B-list or kind of under the radar ones that we want to highlight here? I just want to give a shout out to.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to give a shout out to Spellbreak.
That was the one I was about to shout out.
Yeah.
I played a little of that as well.
I think that game's pretty neat. I think it's a very cool kind of washed out fantasy, like almost Breath of the Wild kind of aesthetic. I love like how so much of the movement is about just like shooting up into the air and kind of flying around. I like that it's not about shooting guns. It's kind of about these kind of big, sloppy magic spells, or you're just like shooting like walls of fire and lightning.
A little chaotic, but pretty cool.
But they can combine with each other in cool ways. Like you can like spray poison around and set that on fire and junk like that. I think the game's neat.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's a pretty dope game. I have not played a lot of it, but that's because there's always another review game, and I just simply don't have time to get particularly good at it. But what I did play about it pre-release and at launch was very cool.
You can only play you can only really play or invest in one or maybe two of these games at most.
Yes.
It's a lot of game time to get good at one and kind of pick your favorite and invest in it. I also found another cool small one recently. I think it's only an open beta right now, or closed beta. They had just a weekend maybe of beta called Naraka, I believe is how you say it.
See, I like you, Matt. You know that is also. I've only played a couple of matches, so I wasn't sure, but I was going to be like, hey, this is out there.
I didn't play a ton, but it was neat. It takes a bit of the like Sekiro like blade clash mechanics, and you can actually get you can get disarmed if the player times their block and stuff right, and it's all melee focused.
Yeah, so it's melee focused, and it takes place in like medieval Japanese, medieval East Asian style thing. You got grappling hooks, so it's melee based, but it's also very vertical and airborne as well. But it's unique. It's got that real cool flavor of like I'm a big fan of martial arts films and wuxia and all that stuff, and it's got that flavor, which is interesting. But yeah, I think it's just in beta right now.
Like Spellbreak, it can be a bit chaotic with people kind of like jumping or flying and casting or shooting at you and flying past you on your grapple hook. And part of that's just like game readability, which you like get better at if you play more of it. Because like Apex, if you don't play too, all the abilities going off. If you don't recognize what something is right away and how to react to it, you're similarly screwed. Like, oh, that's a Gibraltar ult. I need to move, like stuff like that. So you do get used to that stuff, but it is when you start a bit chaotic of it just people are slashing in from all directions and flying in and shooting spells or whatever it is, but they're fun.
What's the best one? What's the best one?
Best. That's a good question. Wait, before we get there, I'm going to shout out one more.
Okay.
Eternal Return.
Eternal Return?
Eternal Return, Black Survival. Which is the trick here is it's a battle royale, but it plays out in the style of a MOBA.
Okay, cool.
Something Jordan doesn't want to touch with a 10-foot pole.
So it's above, and characters move around in the MOBA style, but it is still a battle royale game. It is also super anime is the best way to say it.
Great. Just keep piling them on.
Next thing you know, we'll have wrestling characters.
Is it free to play? Yeah, is it a wrestling thing?
It is free to play.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Again, that's another one of those that's particularly recent. I think it's in just early access right now. But it's an interesting. I like to see new flavors on a genre, and there's definitely a new style of this game, like trying to bring MOBA and Battle Royale together.
I'm always willing to see new formats or twists on Battle Royale. Oh, real quick, we did mention it. We'd be remiss not to speak at least slightly about Tarkov. I don't play it. It's talk about a game that takes a lot to get into because it's like PUBG on steroids. It's like super simulation heavy. It's a Russian game, I believe. It's very much about like your loot and your gear and your backpack and creeping around and then trying to get out through an exit while other players are also in your game. And it's very intense. People really like it if they like it, but the investment and learning curve on that one is a lot for me.
Same. That's why I have not, like, you talk like Naraka and Tower Return, where I've installed them and played a little bit, but Escape from Tarkov I've heard, and I'm just like, I don't have the energy for that.
Can't do it.
So what's the one we do have energy for? What's the best one?
For me, it's Apex. I tipped my hand earlier for all the reasons I said. I think the innovations, the character abilities give you a bunch of ways to play. They're always tuning and tweaking. They get a couple of balance things wrong. The gun's too strong for a couple of weeks, this or that. But they introduce smart changes. Like now you drop with armor and you drop with a couple heals. Being unarmored wasn't any fun, so they added that. It didn't used to be that your armor upgraded as you did damage. That was a clever addition. Things like that have become, they try them out in experimental, like limited time modes. And if they think they work, they just put them in the main game. And that has resulted in a lot of really smart and good new additions to the game. I think this season might be the new bow is cool, but it's really strong right now. It probably needs to be nerfed. But other than that, this is the best it's been maybe ever. There's 3 maps. One of them's bad. The 2 newer ones are good. I think the new character is really cool. She can fly. She has the Titan, her father's Titan strapped to her back. So she can fly for a little bit. And there's, I don't know, it feels great. The weapons are cool and varied. The ping system is great. The characters kind of have fun voice lines and things. Some are a little insufferable. Some are better than others, but, yeah, I just think it's a great overall package. I can't believe it's free. The more I play it, I played so much of it for free. I bought a couple of cosmetics. I guess that's the hole you fall down is spending way too much on free to play games. In the years I've played it, in the many hundreds of hours, I've still spent less than $100 on it. I think probably only 60 or so on.
Can you get characters without spending money?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. You get you get a lot of the tokens to spend as you play. So yeah.
Okay. I think it's Tetris, but Tetris will be fine. It will outlive all these games in one form or another. So I would support Apex as a strong runner-up.
I'd probably play Fortnite the most, but Apex is probably the best playing of the ones that I've played. I'll go with it.
Your heart wants to say Fortnite because you love all your characters and skins and things.
Yes, I've spent so much money.
I probably have played more Fortnite than Apex, honestly. When I bought that,
I tried to get into Fortnite a couple times, and I actively disliked it a lot of the time for various reasons. The building being cool, but also frustrating. Chief among them.
When I bought that Black Manta skin, I'm like, I'm gonna get like $20 worth out of this game that I spent $20 on.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you spent $20 on a skin. Like maybe you get like a new glider and a different axe pattern or something as well. But really, you spent $20 on a skin.
I don't buy a lot of the Apex stuff because their pricing is asking a lot of the time. I think it's a little too high across the board. I will say that about it. It's just cosmetics, and there's a ton of free cosmetics. Or if you just get the battle pass and unlock all the stuff on there, you get a bunch of cool stuff. But the like packs of skins and gun skins and things like that are a little overpriced, I would say. So that's a con.
Apex seems less harmful to the world than Fortnite.
In
a weird way.
But is that only because it's not as big?
Yeah, that's a big part of it for sure.
And it doesn't target, kids as much.
Yeah,
even if it was as big though, I can't see like Master Chief rolling in because it's like this consistent universe of Titanfall that they made. So like I don't think they'd want to even have Disney characters roaming around in it.
Yeah, that is probably true.
Well, I mean, we can have 3. We had 3 last time, but also
I'm gonna say Fortnite because I'm like as soon as Falcon the Winter Soldier ended, I was like, I need a Captain America skin. like there's definite moments where like I finished watching a thing and I'm like, yeah, they should really get a skin for that character in Fortnite.
I like how you say it almost like you're like almost ashamed, like almost sad about it, but you know in your heart that it's true.
yeah, it is. Sad for my wallet and sad for the wallets of parents everywhere because they don't even get the joy.
I can only imagine
the money goes out and they don't even get the joy from it.
Yeah. I can only imagine how annoying it is to have kids begging for a skin in a game and you're like, you don't need that.
It's going to be worse when you have gamer parents that have gone through this and know how, but that's a whole other, that's a whole other line of discussion. Apex, Fortnite, Tetris.
Yeah, I'm good for it.
I'm pretty good with that 3.
All right, the best objective battle royales. We did it. We came to the end. We all survived. I guess we did like Apex in a trio. That's a thing.
There you go.
There's 3 people in that game. That works. That scans.
Number 1 victory royale.
Yeah. So we have coverage of all these games on Mag. We have a whole best battle royales thing. Matt, Buzzy, and Mike, thanks for joining us, talking about this genre that's not going away. I guess it's here.
Sure isn't.
Yep. And we'll talk to you next time.